Recording in progress.
Yeah. All right,
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
I'm Jeremy, and this is
Chad, and
this is Fusion. Hey, man, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Like
Man, me too. I'm like, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. So, man, we have our very first interview and a very special guest. Drum roll, please.
No, sorry.
Mr. Patrick Hickey, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to come out and
Absolutely.
talk to us guys.
And
Absolutely.
Too. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Man.
Yeah, man. I'm super happy to be here, and I'm loving the setup and stuff like that. Like, I wish I was there in person.
Yeah, I know, right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, man, I was just looking at your bio. They should call you the godfather of media because you have so many different things. I was like, damn, news, magazines, books. Yeah, it should have been a better intro than here I am doing it now.
Yeah.
Digigames. Yeah, I said Digigames. Yes. Voice acting. Like, what have you done?
Yeah,
what haven't you done?
Yeah, exactly. What haven't
Porn.
you done yet? Yeah.
I haven't done
Probably
porn
in 5
yet.
years. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
Probably in 5 years, right?
I tell people all the time, I'm just old. So I've been able to do some cool stuff because I'm old. So that's But yeah, it's been so much fun. Yeah, from video games, journalism, voice acting, comic books now, like and I'm not even close to done. I still got a whole bunch of other stuff up my sleeve. So I'm just trying to spread it to the masses, so to speak, So that's why, I reached out to you guys. You guys are doing a great show.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
absolutely.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, see, that's what you got to do too. Like, so that's part of it. So it's just like I tell people all the time, I meet so many like amazing people that have like no following on social media. And I'm like, how come you only have like 300 followers? And they're like, oh, I'm like, you do this great work, but you don't let anybody know about it. So like whenever I have meetings for the comic book company that I work for, they joke around. They're like, you're like the Don King of comics. And I'm like, because if you're not promoting what you're doing, and nobody knows about it, so it's just like, but I try and do it in as passionate a way as possible, because if people feel like you're selling all the time, they're not invested, so I just try and show people that like I'm involved, but I want to share, so and that's what this is. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being here.
So no problem.
What got you into like journalism in the first place? What kickstarted that?
So I wanted to be a professional hockey player when I was 18 years old. And 6'4". I was like 225 pounds. You could like wash your clothes on my abs, and then I got in a car accident and messed up my back and my spine, and put on some weight, and had a cane for like a year. So I was like the coolest 18-year-old in the world. I was like the real life Godfather from WWE. I was like walking around with a cane, but I had to like kind of reinvent myself. So it's like I really look up to people like Diamond Dallas Page and like Chris Jericho and Hulk Hogan, that people that have like found a way to be, away from Hulk Hogan's racism and stuff like that, like how he was able to like reinvent himself, and how Chris Jericho does it all the time.
Well, to me, he's the king of that, man.
Like what MVP is doing right now, so I had to reinvent myself, and I was always like a nerd in denial. I always read a ton of comics. I loved reading the back of like basketball, baseball, hockey cards. Like I knew stats and stuff. And I went to college, and they're like, what do you want to major in? And I'm like, since I can't play hockey anymore, and I played baseball in high school, I was like, I'd love to write about this stuff. So within a year of starting college, I was covering minor league baseball, like the Brooklyn Cyclones, the Mets minor league affiliate. And I ended up interviewing like Cliff Floyd, David Wright, and tons of like great baseball players. Buck O'Neill, who's like one of the greatest Negro League players of all time, like just meeting him and speaking to him, like, and I've taken the pilgrimage to the Negro League Hall of Fame in Kansas City. So that was like to do that and then meet him. But this was all within like my first year of writing.
Wow.
And then it just snowballed, and since I've been doing it now for 15 years.
Man, that's
15.
That's
a long time.
I just have a lot of experiences to call upon. So I'm not like this amazing person. I've just been somebody that's been actively doing it for a long time, you know?
Staying consistent, right?
Yeah, consistently consistent, you know?
Yeah. Okay, man. Yeah. Man, so it seems like the whole journalism thing is great. So I was looking at your bio, and I also see that, you know, on top of doing journalism, your books.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
Sure.
Throw these out the window.
Yeah. Now that they look pricey.
It's like a $600 headset, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
Ooh, man. Oh.
The ODs, they're so good, but like for some reason they just crapped out. So okay, but now we're good.
Of course, that's how it goes.
So the question, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Okay, so just about you being an author, man. I was reading your comic Conjuring. And I'm saying it right, Conjuring, right? Okay. It is
Hungry.
Oh man. I loved it. Oh now I'm jealous because I want an actual comic. So I went to let's.
We'll talk after you guys give me your address. I'll send you guys both an autographed copy.
Thank perfect, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, don't sweat it.
So I was on lesser known comics and I downloaded this comic and I fell in love with it, man. I like that. I always like the anti-heroes. Like I like that the heroes with depth, you know, like this guy, he's had a rough life. He's had a rough go at it, you know. His dad was murdered when he was 12, and his mom's not there, which I feel like the mom's gonna pop up later. We don't worry about that. I just feel like, you know. But anyway, so I'm reading. I was really into it, man. And this guy, he starts off as this scraggly little kid, but he turns into this beast of a man. Like he looks like he's 7 feet tall, just chilling, Jack, and he's trying to find out what happened to try to avenge his parents, his dad. He's trying to avenge him, and his dad's a cop, so I like how he has his switchblade. He has a gun, and he's getting his justice his way. And so I'm like, man, this is gonna be a good story. So I go to the first Conjuring issue 1, and I'm reading. And he's in the hospital. I'm like, what's happened to this guy? Well, what's going on? And I'm not gonna lie, the ending of it made me laugh. I don't know why, because it's like he didn't want to do. I don't want to spoil it or give it away, but he didn't want to do.
You can. That's okay.
I can. Okay. Yes. So this guy, he's hungry. He hasn't ate anything, and he sees this nice old lady, man. This is the nicest, oldest looking lady ever. And she's walking down, she's talking about her dead husband, and I gotta go home and do this and do that. I gotta say my prayer, but this is just a nice lady. And Conjuring's just talking, man, I really don't want to do this, but I have to do it. I haven't eaten 3 days, I gotta get in, get out, do this quick. You get her to go down this alley, it's gonna be, in and out. And something is going on in his head, like there's like a ringing in his head or something like that. And he's like, he's still ignoring it, still trying to push through and do what he needs to do. And he pushes the old lady down. I'm like, oh God, not the old lady. She was just praying. And he pushes her down. And the lady looks up at him and his head's just pounding. And he has a gun and he drops the gun. And the old lady picks it up. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this lady's not going to do anything. She's just going to be like, hey, get away, get out of here. No, Grandma said, forget that. Bam, shoot him in the head. I was like, oh my God, what? That was so crazy. It just makes me want more, man. So what was your inspiration for writing this stuff? It was great comic.
So it's like I grew up in Brooklyn. I still live in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Right.
And everyone is more than the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
It's like if you look at like a little old lady, you don't know what that little old lady had to go through.
Yeah.
Smart.
You don't know what she's willing to do to keep what she has.
Yeah.
And it's like for me, I'm a big guy, like I told you guys, but I mean, whenever I had to get in a fight, the last person I would want to fight is the little guy.
Yeah.
Because those little people, and I remember growing up, I was bigger than everybody.
Yeah.
Until I went to high school. And I went to Grady High School, which they're like right across the street from Lincoln High School. And that's where Stephon Marbury went to school.
Okay.
Who's like, a great NBA player and stuff. But Grady built like Rolando Blackman, who used to play for the Dallas Mavericks. He was an all-star in the NBA and stuff. Like Quincy Doobie, who used to play for the Toronto Raptors. So it's just like both of these schools bred great basketball players. So it's like I went from being like the tallest kid in Bensonhurst to like tiny.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, it's like I was a power forward and a center.
Yeah. Oh,
and then I went to Grady, and it's like, thank God I could shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah.
So that goes to the adaptation that we were talking about. You know, it's like my entire life, in order to be successful, I've had to adapt.
Yeah.
And I've just learned so many things about so many different types of people. And it's like I grew up like, if you hear the fireworks going off in the background now, it's because Italy won today.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Congratulations on that.
And I live in Bensonhurst, so that's where all the mafia movies take place.
Ah, okay.
So it's like I grew up in like an Italian neighborhood where it was like, if you were African American, you didn't go into that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Those people are mega old school.
Yeah.
They're just like, stay out of our neighborhood, you know. And when I went to Grady, I went from like rarely ever hanging out with African American people because they didn't live near me. So all of a sudden now I went to school, and I was like the 1%. And in the beginning it was hard because I was judged. You know, and I had long blonde hair. I looked like I was in the Backstreet Boys and shit, you know. And then they were like,
"Oh, this guy wanted his way."
I would have said old school thing, honestly, but hey, that's what's up too.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know, but they were like, you know, oh, he's pretty cool, you know, and I got along with everybody. I had a great time in high school and stuff, but it was just like so many people, you look at them and you're like, that person's like this. Those first instincts are always wrong. So it's just like Sarita. I'm going to tell you guys a little something special here.
Oh man, lay it on us. Please do.
If you look at that panel, okay, when Sarita's on the floor, her hand is out, reaching towards Condry.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see that. Okay.
Yeah. That head, that pounding in his head isn't coming from him. It's coming from her.
What?
Sarita is so much more than the sum of her parts. I cannot wait for you guys to read Condry 2, because you're going to find out so much more about Sarita. Sarita's a badass bitch.
Oh my God. See, I had it wrong. I thought he was having some type of awakening or something. Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited. Man.
So there's a reason why like Sarita has like lived in like one of the worst neighborhoods in Brooklyn her entire life.
Yeah.
And nothing bad has ever happened to her. You know?
Yeah, man.
So it's just like, and it'll be explained more. Yeah. And obviously, you know, that Condry has survived a point blank shot to the head.
Yeah.
So he's more than just your average hulking homeless person.
Yeah.
There's something else going on with him too. And you're going to find out in the next issue.
Okay, cool.
And you're going to be like, this is really cool. And so I'm super excited for that. Like, I wrote this comic when I was like 17, 18 years old.
Okay.
And I'm going to be 38 in like 2 days.
Okay. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. I just could never find an artist. And then eventually I found an artist, and then COVID happened. So we pitched to like Image and Dark Horse, and they were like, oh, we love this, but we're not like taking any new like IPs.
Yeah, okay.
So we were like, all right. And then I ended up coming across Mark Bernal from LKC. I interviewed him for my site, reviewfix.com.
Yeah.
And the article did well. And then he was like, oh, if there's ever anything that I could do for you. And I was just sitting on this 6-page story, which is Condry 0.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, take a look at this. Let me know what you think. And then like an hour later, he's like, yeah, we need to talk. So I was just
that's cool, man. Yes.
And just, you know, and now it's like we've got a nice following and it's growing and stuff. And like people are sending me like variant covers and stuff like that, you know. And I'm doing a signing at the biggest comic book store in Brooklyn for Free Comic Book Day, and it's just like, this is wild. This is so wild, you know. It's like come full circle to hear that you guys are enjoying the comic. That's like one thing.
Yeah.
But then to see your faces when you're talking about it, I mean, that's just another. So to answer your question, just growing up in Brooklyn and just realizing that like inside of everyone is a story that like sometimes is never told. And it's just like, if you live in Brooklyn, you've walked by homeless people all the time.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, it's a homeless person. Here's $1, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like that person could be the person that could save your life one day, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
That old lady that you about to rub, that could be the old lady that's about to hand you your ass.
Yeah.
You know?
She did.
And she did. You know? So,
it.
and then you combine that with like a love of like 80s and 90s comics, like, you know, The Punisher and Daredevil and Spawn, and movies like The Highlander and stuff, and you merge, and obviously like classic anime like Ninja Scroll and Akira, and you tie all that stuff together.
Oh, that's the oh man, that's the grandma and grandpa anime right there.
So there's a lot of that in there. So you'll see, like, all these like Kanji 0, 1, 2, and 3 will all be released this year, and they're all going to be like 10 to 12 page stories. Like obviously Kanji 0 is only 6 pages, but they're going to tease the main story. So by 2022, when we get to like 24 issues, like a real comic book, you're going to be fully invested, you know? So that's the point of like 2021 is just to like keep teasing.
Oh yeah.
Those are the best kinds.
So it's good, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, well I can't wait for that.
Me, same here, dude. I
good.
dig it, man. And so, how can I ask this question? So I heard you talking about wrestling earlier, man. We kind of go back, back and forth with the comic book and wrestling.
Yeah. Sure.
When you started watching wrestling, and like, who's your favorite wrestler? So I'm gonna like just knock that wrestling stuff out. Who's your favorite wrestler? When you started watching wrestling, and like, do you still watch wrestling? If not, I understand because some of it's kind of weird. Yeah, you a lot.
So I probably have never missed an episode of Monday Night Raw, like ever.
Wow.
Yeah. I've covered professional wrestling for 15 years for my site, reviewfix.com. And when I worked at NBC, I covered a couple of SummerSlams and WrestleManias. I've interviewed like Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, Paul Heyman, Dolph Ziggler, Harley Race, Shark Boy. Like I've interviewed tons and tons of Little Guido, like tons and tons of professional wrestlers. I still remember the first wrestling match I ever watched. It was like Ric Flair versus Butch Reed. And I was sitting on my grandfather's lap, and old school German, and he points to Ric Flair and he's like, "That's the way a man looks." And I'm just like, I'm looking at Butch Reed. I'm looking at Butch Reed, and Butch Reed is like diesel as hell. And Ric Flair's got the long hair, and he's like got like the flowy like costume and stuff. And I'm like, looks like a bitch. But then he makes Butch Reed tap to the figure 4, and he starts wooing, and I'm like, he's pretty cool. So I was hooked. And then but like Sting, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, those are all like big. I loved Rick Martel when I was a kid. I used to put kids in the Boston Crab all the time. But some of my favorite wrestlers to this day still like Raven, Jake Roberts, Diamond Dallas Page, Chris Jericho. I know you're not supposed to say his name because he's like Voldemort, but absolutely Chris Benoit.
That's what I'm talking about. He's a good one, man. He's one of the goats.
Amazing worker. So I mean, I've watched wrestling. I've also worked tremendously with indies in the area, going to their shows, helping promote their talent. I talk to indie wrestlers all the time about their in-ring personas, their movesets. Like there are people that are in the wrestling industry today that are in the industry working because of me, because I've spoken to promoters for them and gotten them gigs. The last Battle Club Pro show in New Jersey, like a month ago, I was the special guest ring announcer for the main event, so that was awesome. I had my own ring music and everything came out to it. Like
that is amazing.
Final Fantasy VII boss music. It was amazing.
Oh my god, that is great.
It's like
you're the man right
music.
There.
It's like it was great. It was awesome. But and so I was just at their training school like on Thursday, hanging out, watching the kids get trained. And I gave them all copies of Conjury and stuff like that. And this guy was doing flips and coming up, and I showed him a video. Like, he was doing the flips, and he was doing them okay. And then I showed him like a Taz match and how Taz comes up and he's just like that. And because he was coming up and he had his like fist out, and I'm like, everyone knows you're in a fight. You don't have to make a fist. I'm like, and I showed him how Taz pops up and Taz just had his hands out. I'm like, Taz's hands were weapons. He didn't have to close them, you know? And then the guy did the flip and I was like, you got it. You know? So it's just like, I do stuff like that all the time. Like, constantly talking to wrestlers. I love wrestling. I'm working on my 7th book now, which is the Mind's Mind PlayStation 2 games. But once that's finished, I totally want to do an indie wrestling book. Like, I totally want to talk to indie wrestlers and talk about how they went from like being that little kid watching wrestling to now actually doing it, you know? So that's definitely like something that's on my plate. So to answer your question, love wrestling, still love wrestling. It's real to me. You know,
I got it. But one bonus question for me on that wrestling stuff. How are you strong enough to watch Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I'm like, you a brave, strong
you said
man.
You haven't missed an episode, and so we just did a podcast a little while ago. And we were talking about some of the things that we don't like about wrestling, and Monday Night Raw was one of them. Now, I'm kind of the same way. I love Raw. It was like appointment TV. I sit in front of that TV and watch it for 2 hours to now 3 hours. But over the past couple of months, I can't. I tried so hard. Like, I tried, but I can't do it.
It's like the only thing that I can equate it to is like being in a toxic relationship with a
that is the greatest example of that. That's crazy.
Where you're just verbally, physically abused every time you see them.
Yeah.
With the hope that they'll be nice, because if they're nice, it's going to be amazing. And it's just like with Raw, you know that for 3 hours you're going to get filler. You're going to get like Alexa Bliss is like mind controlling people now. Nikki Cross is like a superhero. It is so awful. Yeah. And every day I just say, maybe this will be the week that like CM Punk comes back, or maybe this will be the week that like Brock Lesnar will like actually like want to wrestle full time, or maybe this will be the week, you know, like just something happens. And it hasn't been amazing for me.
Yeah.
I would say probably since like 2017. And it's like NXT, I enjoy NXT.
Oh yeah. Oh my yeah.
NXT. I enjoy AEW. Yeah. I still enjoy ROH.
Yeah.
Impact is such a good show. It's totally underrated.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely,
I think
come a long way, man.
It's come a long way. I think they need to work on their in-ring product a little bit more, but I love like the chances they take, like with the whole Who Shot Johnny Bravo thing. And then before that, all the Matt Hardy stuff that they did. Like, you know, so yeah, I still love wrestling. Actually, this is funny. I don't think I've ever told anybody this. I wrote a play right before COVID, and it was about a wrestler, and COVID happened, so now there's no Broadway.
Yeah.
So I was just basically like, you know what, this got to be a comic book. So that's something else that I'm working on. It's a comic book that's about a jobber that just loses every match, and it's just like he's got like a really screwed up life, and then some amazing stuff happens to him that kind of like change it. It's a really fun story. So it's like, if you love wrestling, there's tons of like innuendo, and like the way he speaks, like he calls like this one girl in the front row that wants him really bad, like he's like this ring rat Mark, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, you'll be able, if you love wrestling, you'll totally connect to like the character and stuff. So it's just my master's thesis, I have a master's degree in journalism. My master's thesis is on indie wrestling. Like, I interviewed like Diamond Dallas Page, like Low Key, tons of people, and I tried to tell that story, like what it was like for them growing up as kids to then becoming pro wrestlers. Like, I love it. It's an art to me.
Yeah.
So
man, you are very passionate about wrestling, man.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god.
I love it. Like, I watch a crazy amount, and like, God bless my wife. Because, man, I feel bad sometimes. It's just like, I remember when my when my daughter was born. It was a Monday night, and she was in labor. And it's like, it was on for like maybe like 2 minutes. And then she looked at me and she's like, she changed the channel. And I was like, because like, you know,
like, okay, I guess.
She's laying in the bed getting ready to give birth and stuff. She's like, I'm gonna watch whatever I want to watch. You know, but it was like for like 2 minutes, she let me see like what was on Raw. I was like, you're good.
So generous, so generous.
Good people.
You know, it's funny. My wife was the same way when we first like started dating. She didn't really. I would watch with us, and she's like, "What is this? Why are you watching?" I'm like, "It's good. Trust me." It was 2000.
She fall in love with
2005.
What happened?
Oh man, the Hardys. She loved Jeff. She loved Sean. She loved Sean a little too much, but he's like one of my all-time favorites. So I guess I'd allow
it. Ladies, he's a lady's pet and a man's regret. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what happened with my wife. My wife fell in love with Cena, and then I used to watch Impact a lot too. Like I still do, but I used to watch like Impact with her, and nobody likes the Aces and Eight storyline. But man, I'll tell you, my wife and I loved watching that unfold. Like when Bully Ray told Brooke that he didn't love her and stuff, my wife was like, "That son of a bitch," you know. And I was just like, it was great. It was great. So yeah. But my wife still to this day, when John Cena comes on the TV, I'm like, I have to change the channel. I'm like, nah, yo, nope, nope.
No total divas, nothing for you. Oh man.
What's your next question?
Yeah, man. So the mind behind the games. So what inspired you to write this? Like, because I mean, I feel like growing up, like being a like avid gamer, I never really seen like a lot of like books like dedicated to gamers, like really just chronicling like all the stories and everything behind it. And I'm looking at this book and I'm just like, oh my God, where was this at growing up? And there's just so many. I was looking at some of the chapters and I saw the one about that's how I knew you were gonna be a funny guy. When I saw E.T., the greatest game ever, I'm like, okay.
In 5 weeks.
Yeah.
In 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Damn, the greatest game ever in 5 weeks. Because
5 weeks. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was watching.
Because even like to this day,
yeah.
Ask anyone to make a full video game in 5 weeks by themselves. Not going to happen.
They did it.
And this guy did it.
Yes.
I spoke to him today. I spoke to Howard Scott
wow.
Warshaw today, actually. Yeah. I gave him like a testimonial for his book because he just released a book and he sent it to me. And he was like, could you write something about it? Blah, blah, blah. And I loved it. It was a great book.
Yeah.
But this guy, think about it this way. This guy made a game in 5 weeks, and some people consider it to be like the worst game of all time. Most of those people have never played it before. What it was able to do was insane. It was impossible for this game to ever make money because Atari spent like $28 million on the license. So in order for it to break even, it would have to sell like 5 million copies. And up to that point, only 2 Atari 2600 games had ever sold that many copies. So it was just like, you set this guy up for failure. He releases the game on time. It sells 1.6 million copies, which is like the 6th best-selling game of all time on the Atari 2600. So his biggest failure would be 99.9% of anyone that's ever made a game's biggest success.
Yeah.
You know how many people would kill
to
make a game that sells 1.6 million copies? Yeah. Like, just to take into consideration, like Shadow of the Colossus on PS2 didn't sell 1.6 million copies.
Wait, what?
Shadow of the Colossus is one of the prettiest games of all time on the PlayStation, on the Sony PlayStation 2. Shadow of the Colossus sold 1.1 million copies. So more people own E.T. than they do one of the prettiest, most surrealist games of all time in Shadow of Colossus. That's how important E.T. is to the video game industry. And most people, they've watched The Angry Video Game Nerd and they just read Wikipedia and they're like, oh, E.T. is the biggest piece of shit like ever. But it wasn't. It's not the best game by a long shot. And it was symptomatic of a lot of Atari's problems. Rush a game out, don't care if it's been tested properly and stuff like that. It was like one of the reasons why Atari failed, but it wasn't the game, it was what was going on behind the scenes in Atari. So it's just so much easier to like place the blame. But to answer your question, I was 33. My wife was 5 months pregnant, and I had never written a book. And I was just like, I may only get one shot at this, so it's got to be good. And I was sitting in my man cave, and I just started pulling games out. And I was like, I know the people that have made these games. I know these games have great stories, and everyone, like all the gaming books that I ever read were all these like coffee table books, lots of pictures, lots of just like simple explanation of the games, or just like the author saying, I think this game is great, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I'm a journalist. I love to interview people. I'm going to interview the developers of these games, and I'm going to get them to tell me the stories that aren't on Wikipedia, that aren't on Reddit, and all of those stuff. And I'm just going to compile it into something really sexy. And I got like 6 developers the first week. And I'm like, if half of them answer me, I'll have the beginning of a book. They all answered me. And I was just like, oh my God. So then like 3 weeks later, with like all 6 chapters written, I started pitching publishers. And I'll never forget, it was like Thanksgiving that I sent the pitches. And then like 3 days later, like the next business day, my publisher messaged me and they're like, we would love to publish this book. And I was just like, oh my God. And then that was 6 books ago, because now I'm working on book 7 in the series. So
yeah, man.
It's just been,
I was like, man, you're doing big things, bro.
It's been so much fun, like sitting down, talking to a lot of these people. And like I said, I spoke to Howard Scott Warshaw today. I speak to a lot of these guys. A lot of them love Condry. So like when Condry first came out, the creator of Turok the Dinosaur Hunter.
Oh, that's my
he messages me and he's just like, man, I just want to let you know that like Condry is pretty badass. And I'm just like, I'm going to cry. I'm like, bro, I love your work. I'm like, I love your work. I'm like, that's why, because Turok is in the Minds Behind Shooter games.
Yeah. Okay.
So I love that game. I feel like that game did so much for the Nintendo 64 and stuff like that. So I was just like, to have your support, man, like, thank you so freaking much. So it's just like, it's been a super wild ride the last 4 years. Like just speaking to all these developers of like games that I grew up with. Like even I was getting into the game industry as a voice actor. After the first book came out, but then I started doing voice acting, and then some of the developers that I've spoken to for these books have asked me to be in their game. So it's like Tony Barnes, who did like Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike. What else did he do? Strider, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Star Wars Episode 3. He's working on a game now. Sorry, I got a cold.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm like Al Pacino, like in Scarface. I'm doing, he's working on a game called Run, Die, Run Again. It's so good. It's a first-person like survival platformer game. It's so cool.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, I want you to be the voice of the narrator. And I'm just like, okay, let's do this. So now it's like, now I'm working with some of my heroes doing voice acting, so it's just come full circle from, wow, my wife's about to give birth. I need to do something really cool. So like, I never wanted to look at my daughter and be like, I could have did some really cool shit, but then, we had you and I had to just be like this boring ass dad and stuff like that. So now it's like, I can go to her and be like, I wanted to write a book. I wrote a book. I wanted to do voice acting. I wanted to do writing in video games. I did that. I wanted to be a ring announcer for wrestling. I did that. I wanted to write a comic book series. I did that, so it's just like, I want my daughter and my son now to know that like anything's possible. It's like I come from a pretty poor ass family in Brooklyn, and I'm the first college graduate in my family, and I'm the first person that doesn't drink or do any types of drugs. And I'm just trying to set the bar as high as possible for like my students, because I've been a college professor for 15 years, for my students and for my for my kids.
I respect that. Man, respect.
Well, you mentioned voice acting, and I ain't gonna lie, I've been kind of interested. I met Chris Rager, the guy that played Hercule, Josh Martin, which is funny, who plays Majin Buu. They're real life friends.
Yeah, they're real life.
They live out there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and they live in Fort Worth, Texas. Funimation's in Dallas / Fort Worth. And they kind of inspired me, because I know I can be a little goofy sometimes. I mean, we just met, kind of, sort of, but because I was like, I can do voices. So for a person like, let's say, like, who've been dreaming to do this, to do voice acting, what would you tell them if they ask you, like myself, how do you get your foot in the door, or like how would you get in a direction, and like what's your story, like how you got to? Because I heard you say a couple of game developers like, yo, can you give me your voice and see what we can do, what kind of magic we can create? What would you tell somebody?
So I'll tell you how I got in first.
Okay, please.
And it's just like, it's because I can write. So I got lucky. But then after that, I didn't want to be like a one-hit wonder. So then what I would do is I would go on Twitter and I would go on Discord and I would look for the sexiest games that I could that didn't have any voice in it. Like, why does this game not have any voice in it? Do they not have enough money to pay somebody? Are they not thinking that? And I would just contact the developer and be like, boom, like let's work together. And I got a lot more yeses than nos.
Wow.
I think I've only I've only one role that I auditioned for. The guy was kind of like, yeah, that's not what we're looking for. And I was like, okay, have a nice day. But the way I got in was right after the first book came out. So like I own and operate reviewfix.com for like 11 years.
Yeah.
That's like my baby. And I cover a lot of indie video games,
Yeah.
So what I usually do is I go on Twitter early in the morning and I just look through hashtags like game development, indie game development. And I want to see games that are being made like currently.
Yeah.
And the smaller the team, the better. I'm looking for like really cool stories, like people that aren't being interviewed anywhere else. And I came across this game called The Padre. And it kind of looked like Minecraft.
Yeah.
With like a little like Alone in the Dark and Castlevania thrown in. And it just looked really cool. So I messaged the developer and I was like, let's talk. Let's do a Q&A. So we do a Q&A, gets really good traffic. And I start talking to the guy on Facebook, just bullshitting with him and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then he's like, do you want to play like a beta of the game? And I'm like, sure. So they send me the beta. I start playing it and I noticed right away, like I've been an English and journalism professor for 15 years. So I'm noticing in the dialogue that there's a ton of grammatical errors. And I'm just like, bro, this is a survival horror game with a lot of text. You got to polish your narrative big time.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, and we started talking.
Yeah.
And we agreed upon a payment for my services.
Okay.
And I ended up editing the entire script in like a day. And I sent it back to them and they were shocked. But then like 2 hours goes by and I'm paid. And then they're like, oh, update Steam. Because it was like on Steam early access or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, update the game on Steam.
Yeah.
So I update the game on Steam, start the game up, all my edits are there. And I'm like, yo, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, I want credit too. I want to get paid and I want credit. So like, yeah, you're going to be the story editor, blah, blah, blah. And I thought it was it. I thought that was it. I thought it was a one-time thing. Yeah. I showed my wife the PayPal thing. I'm like, look, I just got paid for this. She's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So then a couple of weeks go by and I get another message on Facebook. It's like, bro, we got like another like 4,000 lines of dialogue for you to go through. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, so this is more than like a one-time thing? They're like, yeah. So then they're getting ready to go to Kickstarter. And then they want me to edit the Kickstarter, which is like, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Like edit the entire Kickstarter. And I'm like, okay. So right before we're about to launch the Kickstarter, they're like, we got a problem. And I'm like, what's the matter? And they're like, the voice actor just left. And I'm like, why? I'm like, oh, he said he had family problems, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, that's not that bad of a thing. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, he's not that good. And they're like, what do you mean?
It's a blessing for you.
And I was like, listen, I didn't want to say anything because you guys just had me in editing dialogue and stuff like that. But you got like a survival horror game and your main character sounds like Russell Brand.
Oh,
it doesn't fit.
Make sense.
It didn't fit. It's like I'm listening to like the trailer and stuff and I'm playing the game. It's just like, a bloody wacky man, just like walking around, and I'm just
wait.
It's not, it doesn't do it. So they're like, So they're like, could you do it? I'm like, let me audition. I'll send you something. So later that day, I go in the same room with all of my games where I came up with the idea for the minds behind the games. And I'm like, what did I just do? Oh my God, what did I just do? So I've always been good at that movie voice, like, in a world, one man, one tortilla, and I'm like, I can't do that because that would just be ridiculous. Baby. That would be ridiculous. You're on the Fusion Podcast, just stop. So I'm like, what if I could combine that bloody wacky English man, with the in a world. So I came up with like this dark brooding English, like, my name is Alexander and I am the Padre, and I sent it to them and they're just like, this is perfect. Wow. So I'm like, so it's just to find that voice in my register, like my throat was on fire. Yeah. I was trying so many different things and, it's like, I've been in bands before. I've sung in bands and I was in choruses and choirs and stuff. So it's just like, I know how to take care of my throat, my voice, but I was just like, man, just to find that voice. Yeah. So then they're like, this is perfect. Can you record like everything today? I'm like, okay. So then I went and I did it. And then they did the same thing. Like 3 hours later, they're like, update Steam. I'm like, yo, that's my voice. That is crazy. So then we didn't get funded in Kickstarter, but we had done so many interviews that like we ended up getting signed by Feardemic Games, and they released the first game on Steam, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Switch, and then the sequel came out in February. So it's just like I started in 2 games. And then, like I told you, I'm going to be in Tony Barnes' upcoming game. And then I've done so many podcast intros, Kickstarter trailers. And then, like, there's 4 games that are, in active development right now that I have either done writing or voice acting in. Like, there's, like, NDAs, so I can't discuss them. But there's a lot more of my voice going on. So, like, the answer is I got in because I could write. And because I understood games, because they're like, oh, this guy wrote a book on gaming and he wants to work on our game. Oh my God. Yeah, we'll take you. and then it's like, holy crap, he could do voices too. So we'll let him do voices. So then it's just been, stacking on top of each other. It's been so much fun. So my advice to people, if you want to get into it, go on Twitter, go on Discord, find developers that need you. And this is the thing, like I got paid to be in the Padre. I got paid well, but man, if they would have told me like to do it for free, I would have done it for free just to get the experience. And I mean, you could go on the PlayStation 4 store right now. You can go on the Nintendo eShop. You can go on on Microsoft, the Live Arcade or whatever. And the Padre's there. And when you press the trailer, you hear my voice. Like, to me, that's priceless. So the fact that I got paid,
he actually did that. I did that today, like an hour before we talked to you, and I was like, man.
So that's why I was kind of laughing when we were saying the guy sounded like Russell Brand. I'm like, I hear that in my head, then I remember what you did before. I was like, I can't even imagine that game with that.
But it's like night and day. Yeah. And then I don't think I've told many people this story, but I don't think I've ever told it like on a podcast. But oh wow, man. I remember. When they started Padre 2, I was like, oh, you guys started development. I would never assume that you wanted me for the second one. I'm not like that. Like, I had fun in the first one, editing. So they were like, the team was like, listen, money is tight this time around. We don't know if we're going to have like voice acting in it. So I was kind of like, all right, no problem. I ain't mad at you. Yeah. And then like a month goes by and then the developer messages me and he's like, listen, we spoke to the publisher and the publisher said that like without your voice, like we can't do the game. Like we need your voice in the game. And I was just like,
yeah,
I know. My man over here is Ric Flair, man. Yeah. Like it just felt, beat the man.
it felt really good. It felt really good to have like that type of validation. And the second game has only come out on Steam so far, but I think it's a much better game than the first one. And I think the first one plays the best on Steam, like without a controller. I think it's best played as like an old school point and click survival horror. I feel like using the controller and stuff like that, it's just like it feels when you play it with a controller, it feels like the original Resident Evil, which isn't a bad thing either.
Love intake controls, man.
Yeah. So I just like the way it plays without the controller, like as an old school PC game. But I mean, to answer your question, I'm sorry I talk a lot.
That's cool.
Good, man.
Just be persistent. People are gonna say no to you all the time, but you just got to keep plowing through. And that's what I tell people all the time. It's like when people say no to you, it means no right now. So no right now is a no, but a second later it could be yes. So you just got to be on your game all the time, And I've said this on other podcasts before. I feel like I've never been anyone's first choice for anything, but I'm always their best choice. Yeah. So, it's just like you got to just keep at it, passion and patience, being as consistent as possible, and you're going to win people over eventually. So with voice acting, there's so many people that want to do it. It's just like writing. Yeah. Before COVID, you'd have people sitting in Starbucks all day writing. Yeah. And I would joke around because I'm like, all I got is my phone and I'll outright you. You can have your beautiful computer and you can sit in Starbucks and you can listen to Enya all day and stuff like that. But I do it every day, and it's like, that's what real writers do. They write every single day. They don't need to have people watch them and stuff like that. They just do it. It's a part of them. It's like when you hear Taz talk about wrestling. Yeah. It's a lifestyle.
Yep.
Yes. It's in you, So if you're a voice actor, when you start, you may not be working on the best games, right? But your voice is going to get out there. You start building your portfolio and you just keep getting to better and better and better games. Like, I still like get a little like teary when I see that first like cutscene in the Padre. Yeah. Cause it's just like, it's a special moment to me. Like when he's driving up to the house, but like now, I mean, when I'm watching like my voice in Run, Die, Run Again and Tony Barnes's new game, I'm just like, man, I've come a long way. Holy crap. So it's just like, you gotta be there for the ride, and it's not always going to be easy. And like I said, I was pissed off when Padre 2 started development and they were like, oh, we might not have voice. I'm like, how are you not going to have voice? Yeah. But I just knew, it's like the cream always rises to the top, and I was just like, they're going to ask me. It's going to happen. And I didn't talk to the guy for like a month because I didn't want to be like, I won't beg you. Yeah. If you want me, you want me. And they came and it turned out good. So you just got to stay persistent, take roles as you can get them. You can't be the star in every game, and then just build the portfolio.
Man, that's some good advice.
You dropped one gem that you should make a t-shirt for. You say I might not be their first choice, but I'm their best choice. Yeah. That's some gangster
stuff.
Some
bars right there,
man. You done dropped a gem on
good bars.
Man, I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you coin that, man. I'm telling you, coin that phrase.
I'm gonna do that.
I like it. That's some ballsy shit to say. When you said it, I was like, and I bought it. I was like, yeah, make a shirt. Yep.
I've said it. I've said it to people before too. It's like, because you know what it is. It's just like we live in this society where it's just like people, or they're so. I don't have anything against politically correct, like ideology. I think everyone should be made comfortable, and we should all start on equal footing. Yeah. And no one should be judged based on the way they look or their sexual preference or anything. But then it's like I can sit in a meeting, and so like one of my favorite sources is Benjamin Johnson. He used to work for Rockstar Games. He was a level designer on Red Dead Redemption. He was the creator of Rockstar Table Tennis. He is a goddamn rock star. So he's like from California. He's got long dreads. He's badass to the bone, And he's the type of person where he's just like, man, I'll be massively quiet during a meeting, and he's like, I'll let everyone talk, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I know that some of my bosses don't know the difference between that guy just talking out of his ass and the people that really get shit done. He goes, so when he comes over to me, I'll be like, I did this, and that's all I'll have to say, And I love that. But with me, it's like I like to talk. So I'm going to cut a promo in the meeting. I'm going to get myself hyped. I'm going to get everyone else hyped. But then the difference is when my boss goes, well, what have you gotten done? I'm going to be like, here you go. Because for me, it's like, if you can't get passionate about it, then what's the point? Like, if you're just going to be quiet and just show your work to your boss, like, I want to be at a company where when I speak, everyone goes, it's about to go down. Like, Pat's about to bring it, like, because I want to motivate everybody else. Like, when I was at NBC, when I was the editor at NBC, we would have meetings every 4 hours. So it's like, if you worked an 8-hour shift, when you got there, you had a meeting. Then 4 hours later, you had a meeting. Then when you left, you had a meeting. And it was always, what have you done so far?
Right.
What are you working on now? And what are you working on later? And I always made sure that I always had something that I did, something that I was working on right now, and something that I was working on later. Always. Because what would happen is if you were at a meeting and they were like, Brian, what do you have? I'm like, yo, I don't want Ryan anywhere near me because I don't know what he has. I don't know if that shit's contagious, that laziness, that like mediocrity. I don't want any of that near me, So then
I feel you.
So I've always just been like, and it's an easy way not to make friends, but it's also an easy way to make yourself stand out of the crowd,
Yeah.
So it's just, like I said, I never judge people. When I look at somebody, I'm like, can we make some really cool stuff together? Is this person going to make excuses when they don't feel good? Is this person going to make excuses when they got in a fight with their wife? Is this person going to do this? Is this person going to get that? Like, let's make great shit together. Let's not make excuses, let's do great things together. I don't care where you're from, like anything about you, as long as like you are willing to invest yourself as much as I am into like what you're doing, So it's hard. It's hard sometimes, but it's just like when people pick up on that, like a video game developer or comic book publisher or a book publisher, when they pick up on that and they get that, then we make great stuff together. So it's like, it's win-win for everyone that's involved. Like, I want to inspire the people around me. I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, I wrote all these books and, like, I want to be like, you can do it too. And I'll show you how to do it. Let's do it. Are you ready?
Yep, that's what I need, man. You gotta, it's good. That's a sign of a good leader. Cause I like where I work at, that's always preach. Like a sign of a good leader is someone that can inspire. It's always cool. You can have people that work for you, and that's fine. They're going to work for you, but you have to inspire them to make them want to do great and want to produce. So that's definitely what I get from you, man.
Thanks.
So I have a question. It's
yeah.
So since you like video games, could you give me maybe 3 video games that you think shaped your life?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Absolutely. So the Fallout series, absolutely. Oh, yeah. So like Fallout 3 got me through like my first year of teaching. Fallout New Vegas got me through like my first year of graduate school. Oh, wow. I just love being immersed in the wasteland.
Yeah. Wow.
Like I posted a meme the other day where it was just like the first boss is like hiding behind like a wall. Yeah. And it's just like me after completing all the side quests first. Yeah. And I'm just like this massive Hulk, because it's like in Fallout, man, you don't even have to follow the main story. You could just do all the side quests. It's like Skyrim is the same way. Like all the Elder Scrolls games.
He stole my words, Skyrim.
And you can just build Skyrim. Like I love those games. Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance, like Champions of Norath, X-Men Legends, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Like I love games like that, where you can just develop this character into like something super badass. I mean, Pokemon, same exact thing. I mean, by the time I got to Brock in Pokemon Red, like I had like my Rattata evolved already. Like my Caterpie was already like a Butterfree, my Squirtle was a Wartortle, So it's just like, I love games like that. So Pokemon, Fallout, I love the NHL series. That's probably like one of my favorite series of all time. Yeah. Trying to think of what else. But that's 3. Those are pretty much like for my entire life, I've always played like a hockey game, a Pokemon game, and then some type of like action RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope, man.
But I mean, I'll play anything. I mean, I have over 30 consoles, over 3,000 games. So
No.
So yeah, I've like what you guys have in Funko, I have in video games, you know. So
I can't even say I got what you got in game consoles / video games themselves. Jeez. It's like the Don now. Now I'm giving you another time. The Don.
The Godfather of games, man. Woo! So Jay, what about you? What about 3 games that are,
yeah, let's hear it.
All right. Resident Evil.
Great.
I remember like Resident Evil 2 actually hurt me one time. And brief story. I remember like Resident Evil 2 when the hands came out through the windows in the police station.
Oh my god.
I jumped out and I landed like my lower back landed on the bottom. I was like, oh my god, what the hell? So that that whole like 1, 2, 3, 4, not 4, Code Veronica, because I'm doing chronologically. That was harder, but it was fun. Yeah. So the Resident Evil series, Metal Gear. The reason I got that game, I remember one of my mom's friends' boyfriends had it sitting in the backseat of his car, and I kept staring at it. And my little kid was like, "What's that?
What's this?
What is this?" He's like, "Oh, it's a Metal Gear game." He's like, "One?" I'm like, "No fooling, really?" So yeah, he let me have it. Dude, I fell in love with Solid Snake and that whole story. Hideo Kojima, you talking about rock star? Hideo Kojima's a rock star, Jack. And I'm trying to tell
my thing with Metal Gear is
like
I love Metal Gear.
Yeah,
but I would much rather watch someone who is good at it play it than play it myself, because it just moves.
I watch him play.
It moves.
Great.
It's so cinematic. And it's so ahead of it. It was so ahead of its time, but it just moves so slow for me. I'm just like, like it's super methodical.
Oh yeah,
it's got great music. It's a movie. It's a movie in video game.
You literally watch
cutscenes,
and that's all.
So I would watch you. I would come over your house with like some Pringles and some Burger King and and I'd be like, "Yo, go ahead, go play. I'll watch you play." So what else? So Metal Gear, Resident Evil,
and nowadays I like not RPGs. What do you call those open world games? Like you said, Skyrim. Skyrim was one of them. I dig Fallout. I can't wait till the new one come out because oh my god, I don't know his name in real life, but Gustavo Jack. Yeah. He on that bad boy. I like those and especially like Skyrim. It was so good. We got it twice. Yeah. My wife bought it for PlayStation 4, $20 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like then it was like more
DLC.
I was like, wait, there's more to this shit? Holy crap. Loved it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What about you, big guy?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Man, so I had a Nintendo, my sister had a Nintendo growing up. I was just quote unquote blessed and lucky enough to be able to touch it. And I finally got my own system. I got a Sega. My very first system, Sonic the Hedgehog, is a franchise that's near and dear to my heart. Like I played Sonic. I actually played Sonic 2 before I ever played Sonic 1. I played Sonic 2, and I used to play Mario and stuff all the time. Mario's cool, I used to be afraid of King Koopa, but we're not going to talk too much about that. But I played Sonic the Hedgehog, and I just fell in love with gaming. I played this
so fast.
Yeah, his little feet.
Comparing like Mario to Sonic, I remember the first time I fired up the Genesis 2 and like seeing Sonic run and do the loop, and you're just like, games don't feel like this.
Yeah,
it changed the game. It's funny because I interviewed the creator of Siphon Filter for my PlayStation book that's coming out like in the spring, and he was like, "Man, Sonic set the video game backwards like 5 years," and I'm like, "Why?" What? And he was just like, "Because he's like, what they did was so beautifully simple that it's just like a left to right platform game with really good pixel animation and a really good sense of speed." And everyone tried to copy it. So everyone was so busy trying to copy Sonic for like 5 years that no one tried anything really cool. Yeah. And I was just like, man, I never thought of it like that, you know? And he wasn't
cool actually, because a lot of the Sega games, like a lot of them are just all Sonic copies.
Like, yeah. But that's like Street Fighter 2. Like it's now the standard, and like a lot, like SNK did it, and other developers
they
try to mimic that success, which I mean, really now is just the blueprint to this day. Yeah. So
So Sonic is a great first choice. What are the other two?
Right. Well, what's your 2 and 3?
Okay, so I'm gonna say that. And so Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I like playing open world games too. but I've never spent so much time in an open world game before in my entire life. I played this game day and night. I would keep my Nintendo 64 on before I ever got a memory card. I would just keep it on like constantly just to play this game and to beat it. It's just, man, I just love
I gotta say too, man, the Nintendo 64 could take a beating. Like that console is built like Ford tough, because it's like the PlayStation 2, the Dreamcast, all the CD-based systems, as much as I love them, they overheat and the games crash and stuff like that. But it's like a good cartridge-based system.
Oh, man.
Like the Nintendo 64. I still have my original Nintendo 64. I'm still playing not New Japan, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. I have a modded Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 that has an English patch. So I've created like all of like AEW in it and stuff like that. It's amazing. But it's just like I could have that console on for like a week and nothing happens. I could pause it. You know, there have been times when like I've been playing like a match and then I pause it and then don't go in my man cave for like 3 days. And then I turn on the old CRTV again and the game is exactly where I'm like, yo, you can't, could you do that with a PlayStation 4? No way.
Man, no,
you know, so
it crashed.
So yeah, absolutely. So what's the other game?
Another game. So Kingdom Hearts. So now Kingdom Hearts, the first, yeah. The first one, I think the first one's probably my favorite. Like the story wise, is just really good. That's the first video game that ever made me shed like a tear. Like
that ending scene.
Yeah.
When you walk away,
I was like, no, don't walk away. Harry, no, it's gonna be okay. Man, all that work he did to save. Oh my God, I was in my room just boo-hooing.
Damn.
And my mom comes in. What's wrong with you? I'm like, Sora.
Like you don't know. You don't know.
It's just that story. It combines. So I love Final Fantasy and Disney. I mean, of course. And they just combine all these different elements. And so when I first saw this game, I was in maybe like the 11th grade. I was going to New York, Compton band, and we were like playing there. And I saw a commercial. I saw the game. I'm like, man, I'm gonna try this game. I saw the commercial. I'm like, you got everything that I love, like in one thing. But I was a little worried because I didn't think that it was gonna be, you know how something is just too good to be true. That's what I thought.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like your traditional, like you make a movie game, like not the earlier movie games like on Sega and Nintendo. Those games were like
Activision games.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be like that, and it wasn't gonna be good. But I started playing this game and I could not stop. I love that story. It was just something else. It just re-inspired my love for like gaming, because around
absolutely
I was like, I like games. Well, I like games then, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna play this. I got a job now. I'm a little high school kid working, and I started playing this game, and I was like, window. I love it.
Oh yeah. It's so good, and I feel like they've never been able to get back to like what made the first game so good. Like Kingdom Hearts 2 is not bad, and all the card-based one on Game Boy Advance I have, and that's okay. Yeah. But it's just like the first one was so special, you know?
Yep.
It's just like every time you went to a new town and met like a new character, you just got it. You got the feels.
Yeah. I'm like, I get to win. Yes.
Like I have the one for Switch now. That's like the rhythm game. Have you guys tried it?
Oh no,
I'm just like, really? This is what we did. It's like frequency and amplitude on PlayStation 2, if you've ever played it. Yeah. It's like that, but in Kingdom Hearts mode. Yeah. So it's just like you're playing the character and you have to attack enemies, and the enemies are like notes and stuff. And I'm just like, it's kind of cool, but nah, it's not what I want.
That's not that note for me.
But the first one's an amazing game. Yeah. Absolutely.
Man. So my next question, this is gonna be an important one for me.
Sure.
And for all the listeners who all listen to this, what would you tell people? Because you've done a plethora of stuff, and to me, you're the man. You're not kissing your ass. You're spitting real spit. Because I'm like, damn, this dude here. Yeah. You have done a gang of stuff that. My man right here. Yeah. But you've done a gang of stuff that most, I'm just saying Americans, because I don't know how other people dream over there overseas and stuff like that, but most Americans dream of. Well, hell, everybody, anybody. I ain't gonna be that guy. Yeah. Most people dream of and you just had the balls. I'm just talking like how I talk. You have the balls to say, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it."
Yep.
What would you tell any child, any boy, any girl, any man, any woman, anybody of any creed, race, whatever, what they should do? Not what should they do, like how you did it and how they can do it. What would you tell them?
Don't peak. Don't be the person that, and my students, this happens with my students all the time, where I'm just like, some of you, the best you'll ever be is the homecoming queen or the captain of the football team. Ooh. And you hold on to that shit for the rest of your life. Like I have friends that I went to high school with, and every time I speak to them, all they talk about is high school. And I'm just like, yo, that for me next year, that'll be 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I love going on like social media and being like, man, that person would never have spoken to me 20 years ago, but they'll talk to me now, you know, because I haven't peaked, you know. Whenever you accomplish something, you should say, okay, that's great. It happened, but what's next? Like, I'll be brutally honest. I'm always honest, but I'll be brutally honest.
Yeah.
After my first book came out, I completely felt like shit because I felt like I put every single thing that I knew into that book. And I remember having a conversation with somebody and they're just reading back like what I wrote and they love the book. I should feel good.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, now that person knows everything that I know. So I ain't special no more. Oh, wow. I need to go out and write another book. I need to go out and do something else, you know? And I just feel like whenever you accomplish something, you should own it. You should make it. You should wear that badge. Be like, that's me. But then go on and do something else. Mm-hmm. And continually make sacrifices to be the person that no one ever thinks that you should be. You know, it's just like I've taught at the college that I work at for 15 years. And like before COVID, I would go walk on campus and they would be like, oh, no students yet, blah, blah, blah. Because it's like 6:30 in the morning. I'm super early because I want to get writing done before my first class. And I'm just like, no, I'm full-time. I'm a full-time professor. And they're like, oh, let's see your ID. And I'm just like, man, I'm like 36. I ain't some like 19, 20-year-old kid, you know? And it's just like, when people look at me, they don't like, I'm wearing a PlayStation hat now, wearing a Randy Orton shirt.
What's
you
up?
know? And it's just like, I love Randy Orton. Randy Orton's awesome. But it's because of the diamond cutter. But, you know, I'm sorry.
Randy Orton's that dude, man. He makes everything.
Come on. That old move that he used to do, that Elix skipper finisher that he used to do.
I don't even know what. I feel like every like bad guy that comes to wrestling, like that's the move that they had like back in the day. Is that move? I still don't know what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. The play of the day, the overdrive or whatever. But people look at me and they think I'm like a garbage man or a cop or this or that, you know, and I'm just like, no, I'm a writer, you know, like I'm a teacher, I'm a writer and stuff. And it just goes back to like what I was telling you guys about Condry. Like everyone is more than the sum of their parts. It's just you have to know your worth. And then you have to understand that in order for you to accomplish the things that you have to accomplish, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. So it's just like for me, I've never drank and I've never smoked my entire life. And it's because I look at my parents and I'm like, my dad could have probably done some amazing things with his life, but he liked to drink. Big Irish guy, you know, hands like Donkey Kong, you know, and he liked to drink. So he graduated from high school, had kids early. You know, it's like I look at my dad sometimes. I'm like, when my dad was 37, my age now, he had twin 15-year-old boys. And I'm just like, man, like my daughter's 4 and my son just turned 1. And I'm like, the best thing I could have ever done was waited to get married, wait to have kids, accomplish as much as I could, be the person that I wanted to be. So then this way I could transfer what I knew to my children and then be in a situation where like the ball was already turning. So this way, if I wanted to continue what I'm doing, I can still do it and still be a good father and still be a good husband and stuff like that. So like my advice would be like, you got to find a structure that works for you. It doesn't have to work for anyone else, and you have to have a plan, and you have to stick to it, and you have to be really honest with yourself, and it's not easy. And I mean, I've had to sacrifice. I don't have many friends, like real talk, like hashtag real talk. Like I probably have like a handful of people that like I consider friends. Everyone else is just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna chill with this person because we can get something done together. Like, but that's a sacrifice that you have to make. Like my wife is my best friend, so it's just like whenever she gets pissed off at me and doesn't want to talk to me, that hurts. But like you got to make those sacrifices. Like what's the most important thing to you? And to me, the most important things to me are providing for my family and being the best version of myself and holding myself to a very high standard and a personal truth that I could stand behind. Like when I look myself in the mirror, I say to myself, I'm not the best that I can be, but I'm getting there. Like every single day, like I did 2 or 3 small things today that are getting me to where I need to be. And like some days it's only one thing. And you guys are my one thing today, being on the podcast, talking about my brand, like telling you guys my story. That's my one thing that betters me today. But you've got to do at least one thing that betters yourself every single day. Saturdays and Sundays included, Christmas included, Juneteenth included. Every single day, you've got to do something. And you can't, everyone else makes the excuse, oh, it's Christmas. Oh, it's this, it's that. I can't do that. I can't do that. You don't want to. Don't lie and say you can't. It's that you don't want to, All right. So just like if you just get that in your head, you can accomplish anything that you want to. It's like if I could talk to like the 17, 18-year-old version of myself, I would just say, man, all the things that mom and dad said that you shouldn't do because they're not going to get you anywhere in life, like play video games, watch wrestling, read comic books. I get paid to be a part of all 3 of those worlds now, So it's just like, you got to just stay in it. Everyone that I know that I went to graduate school with that has the same degree as me, that's not in journalism anymore or is not writing, it's not because they weren't good enough. It's because they stopped, All right. So I'm just like, can't stop, won't stop. Like every day. Like every day, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. You've got to prove yourself every single day. And sometimes it's not going to be pretty. Sometimes it's going to be sloppy. Sometimes it's going to be bad, but it's just like, I equate it to baseball. Like you don't have to be like Ken Griffey Jr., where you just like everything you do looks so pretty. That works for some people. Yeah. For me, I want to be like Ichiro. I'm going to hit a ton of singles. I'm going to constantly get my ass on base every day and then just try and find my way around the bases every single day. It'll be ugly sometimes, but by hook or crook, I'm going to get on base. I'm going to make something happen. Like that's the way you got to make it happen.
Oh no, man. Hell yeah. Okay. Shoot.
I hope that was a good answer.
That was a great
That
answer.
was the best.
Yeah, that was a great answer, man. Definitely an inspiration.
Yeah, because I'm all like, I didn't get on my game. Shit, I gotta get on my good shit. Yeah, come on, let's do it.
Yeah, because we've been doing this podcast for what is it?
2 years.
2 years?
A little over 2 years.
And we've been trying to get it going, get it off the ground. We've been getting some traction. Like so, last year during COVID, of course, we had plans to go to these comic book conventions and put ourselves out there. Do everything we can and promote it. Then COVID just said, "No, you're not doing any of that. You're gonna sit at home and not do anything." So we've been just working. We've still been putting stuff out here and there, trying to, get our names out there, get to meet people. But yesterday was one of the first times we went to a convention and
must have felt great, right?
Yeah, it did.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It did. And that's why what you said really resonates.
Yes.
Because it's like we just sat there, we didn't make excuses, we just said, we're gonna go do it. Yep. We know we're gonna get rejected. People are gonna be like, oh, we don't want to listen to you guys. But it was honestly a positive experience. And what you said, like I said, it resonates because it makes me just want to do it again. Yeah.
Like, actually, we are. So it's funny. Yeah. And the irony,
it's like I tell people all the time, like, if someone doesn't want to invest in you, you don't hate them.
I never
you just say, all right,
yes,
all right.
Is your life, this your
you don't you don't want to eat with me. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want you to starve, but now you don't get to eat at my table.
Oh,
you know, and
yeah.
you build your empire, and then what's eventually going to happen is those people are going to come back. Man, I can't tell you how many times people like said no to me for interviews, and then when I started working at NBC, I went back and I'm like, oh, do you want to talk now? I'm at NBC, and they're like, yeah, and then we end up doing like great work, and then I end up telling them at the end of the interview, you know, I tried to interview you like 3 years ago, and blah, blah, blah. And your publicist said no. And they're like, wow, that's stupid. I'm sorry about that. Blah, blah, blah. You were great. And I was like, I want you to know that the interview that we did right now is probably the same interview I would have did 3 years ago. I'm no better now. Well, I am, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just because I work at NBC now doesn't mean that you wouldn't have gotten like, I would have treated you the same exact way. I would have pushed it as hard, blah, 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 blah. And some people get that and some people don't, you know? So just like a lot of the times it's not on you, you know? So you just gotta be in it every day, you know. It's hard, but you can do it.
Yep.
What were you gonna say? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you cool, man. Because I say the irony of it all, man. We're talking to a comic book writer, and then this coming weekend here in Houston, we're gonna have Comic Palooza come in, like one of our biggest comic book conventions. So I'm definitely gonna edit the hell out of this real quick. It's gonna be like a couple of things I'm gonna do, and that's it. I'm not gonna like put a lot of fancy graphics on there. Maybe. Like a picture of your comic book. And,
sure. Yeah. If you need any pictures, let me know. Also, if you're gonna post like little snippets and stuff, send them to me, and I'll share them on my Instagram too to get you guys more traffic and stuff like that.
All right.
So
because I'm trying. My goal, no promises. My goal is by Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
by Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday's good.
Yeah, and I'll share the hell out of it. I'll share it all over the place. So
you promoted us. Nobody else promoted us.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna say nobody, like 1 or 2 people, but like you came to us and was like, "Hell, want to do an interview? Here's my information." And I was like, hell yes." And like I know it took a while, and I apologize for it.
It's okay.
I know you probably had like 25 other things to do. The way you're sounding, man, is on it.
Yeah.
So
I make it busy. No, it's okay.
And you got any other questions? Because I got one thing to ask them, and this is like about
the one question I was gonna ask you. It was just pretty much for content creators, you know. But you pretty much touched on it. But I'm just gonna say for content creators, you know, what advice would you have? Because like I said, we're budding content creators, trying to do our thing, do our best. And I'm just gonna ask, what advice would you have for people pretty much creating content? Like
I would say everyone's recipe is very different. You've got to find something that works for you, and you've got to find something that brings you some type of enjoyment. So it's like Gary V. I love Gary V. And I remember he told a little kid, because this little kid is like, oh, I want to be like, I do cooking videos, I want to be famous. And Gary V is like, well, if you want to be famous, you're not going to be famous. Like, you've got to create work that you could stand behind, that you believe in, and that you're having a good time doing. And eventually, over time, you're going to build an audience. I mean, I don't completely agree with that, but most of it I do. So, like, I'll give you an example. Like Instagram, I post like 50 to 60 things a day. Like, because it's just like,
I see.
It's stream of consciousness. It's just like I think of the game and I'm like, yo, anyone remember this? Or like I'll post like a wrestler, like, yo, what do you think of this guy? Blah, blah, blah. Because I want to have interaction with people. I want to have fun and stuff. And I want like there to be some padding, because I'm going to promote all of my stuff every single day. I'm going to promote every book that I've written every day. I'm going to promote my comic book a few times every day. Like I posted like that I was going to be on the interview with you guys like 3 times. So it's just like, I don't want my page to be like just promotion. So I want it to feel like a real person is like actively thinking of all of this stuff and loves all of this stuff, whether it be comic books, video games, wrestling, Hollywood, all that stuff. So just like, that's what works for me. It's gotten me a nice following. But some people would go, yo, I ain't doing that much. So I would be like, well, then find your own recipe, and you got to just stay at it, and you got to find like what works. I remember like right before COVID, I probably had like 800 followers on Instagram, and I was just like, yo, I'm writing books. Like, I know my shit. How come I can't get more followers? And then I was like this close to quitting Instagram.
Wow.
And then I was just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to turn the volume up. I'm just going to post more. I'm going to use more hashtags. I'm going to, anything that pops up into my head, I'm going to do that. And all of a sudden, we started going up, and that was like 18 months ago. So that's like almost 6,000 followers later. So it's just like, that was nice growth last year, and it's just by being as authentic as possible, because people could smell that from a mile away, that like you're mega fake and stuff like that. And it's just like, I tell people all the time, you could be like a really pretty face, and that's great, and that may get you a lot more followers than me, but one day you're going to be ugly, and I'm still going to be smart, so I'm still going to have followers, and people aren't going to follow you anymore. So it's just like, you've got to find like what works for you, and you've got to stay consistent. Like I tell people all the time, like if you're going to do a podcast, you got to do it like once a week, or once every 2 weeks. Like there are people that do like a podcast like once a month, and it's just like, man, people aren't invested, and it's just like, that's one of the things too, like with comic books, is like, it's hard, man, like once a month to come out once a month and to get people to wait, so it's just like, you got to make sure, like if you're a comic book writer, like your comic, even if it's like 6 pages, like my Ashcan Conjury 0 has like a clear sense of like beginning, middle, and end. Conjury 1, same exact thing, beginning, middle, and end. And it's just like, there's that cliffhanger at the end, that crescendo, and it pulls you in, and it gets you to go, shit, all right, next month I'm in, because if you can't do that, then you're going to lose somebody. So it's just envision what you want to do clearly before you do it. Don't wait to post. I hate when people do that. They're like, oh, I'm only going to post it Wednesday at 7 p.m. because that's when I get the most viewers. And it's just like, all of that metadata and all that like background data is great to have. But if you're just waiting to post at like the ideal time, then you don't care about what you're posting. You're just caring about views. And the second that you give up that shit, like I've had memes that I've reposted from somebody else that got like 300,000 likes on Instagram. And I'm just like, and then I'll post like some sincere, heartfelt shit that gets like 50 likes. And I'm just like
I feel the same way. I do feel the same way too, dude. Trust me.
The algorithm is all off. So the thing is, you've got to keep hitting it. It's like a punching bag.
Okay.
You got to keep hitting it over and over until you get faster and faster and faster and faster. And then once you get in that rhythm, it's like playing Guitar Hero and getting like 115 note solo. And you're just like, after like the first like 50 notes, your fingers are doing the work automatically. Yeah. You're not even thinking. And that's the way, like if you're a content creator, whether it's YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, it's just got to be like a part of you where you're just posting because it's just like a natural extension of yourself, and you're sharing that authenticity with people, and then they're going to buy into it, and then they're going to buy your stuff, and you're going to make fans, and people are going to care about you and stuff like that. Like that's what I would say. Just find your recipe, stick with it, and get cooking.
Okay. All right. Damn. Got another question?
No, man.
I know it's getting late for you.
Yeah.
Because it's 10:24 for you. It's 9:24 for us.
Yeah.
So the only thing I'm gonna ask you, man, is like,
sure,
give out all your information, what you want people to know about, where they can find you, like your Twitter, Instagrams, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So my preferred social media platform is Instagram. Okay. And that's Patrick Hickey Jr. That's my full name. I do post some regularly on Twitter. It's Review Fix Pat, and it's mostly like the articles from Review Fix, and then I'll throw in other stuff. Facebook is Patrick Hickey Jr. If you want more information on my writing, you could go to patrickhickeyjr.com/books. So the cool thing is with my books is they're available like Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, like Amazon, wherever fine books are sold online, you could buy them. You don't even have to go in a store. You could just go online. They're all there. But if you order directly from me, right after you make the order, you're going to get an email from me. And I'm going to be like, yo, what's up? Like, you guys are from Fort Worth.
No, we're from Houston.
Oh, you're from Houston. So even better. Good. So you guys are from Houston. And I would be like, all right, so are you guys Astro fans? Are you guys like, like, what are you guys into? And you'll tell me. So like the minds behind the sports games, man, when that book first came out, I was putting in baseball cards in people's books. Like if you were from Houston, you were getting like 5 or 6 Astros cards in your books, and I make sure that every book that comes through my website gets signed. I sign it. I put cool stuff inside of it. Like if you guys are into wrestling, I put like, like wrestling cards in there and stuff like that, and cool stuff. Like I was on a podcast once, and the guy bought the book, but during the podcast, he admitted to me that he never played Madden.
What?
Like any Madden. Yeah, I was shocked. I was floored. I was like, not one? You never played one Madden? And he's like, no. So I had an extra copy of the original Madden on Sega Genesis.
Let's go. That's the best one.
So I put it in his book, So like cool stuff like that. So it's just like if you order directly through me, I'll make it fun for you. Also too, if you go to lesserknowncomics.com, you can download Conjury 0, Conjury 1 right now. Conjury 2 is a couple of weeks away from being complete. Also all the LKC comics. So like I think LKC is up to 5 now. Yeah. So there's 7 free comics available on the website now. Yeah. And if you want our books in print, you can support our next Kickstarter, which should be starting soon, and you can get all of the comics on the Kickstarter. Or if you go to your local comic book store and you tell them to contact us, we will ship comics to your comic book store for free. And for this year, we're trying to get our comics out to as many people as possible. We're trying to support local comic book stores as much as possible. Okay. So yeah, go to lesserknowncomics.com. You could download all of them. You guys, when you're done, give me your addresses and I'll ship you out a copy of Conjury 0. But yeah, that's what it's about. Also too, like if people want to talk to me, if they need advice about stuff, like about like writing and this and that, like you can always message me on Instagram. I'm super like down to earth, as long as you're not like a crazy person, and message me at 4:00 in the morning. Like I want to see people grow. Like I said, I'm an educator. I've been a college professor for 15 years. Like one of my students that graduated like 5 years ago, she's working at the same place that I was working at, like at NBC now. And I'm just like, some professors would be like, damn, oh my God. And I'm just like, yo, I did a good job with her. She's great. She's rocking and rolling, so that's like, for me, it's like, I want to see other people succeed. So it's just like you were saying before, that people are on your podcast and then they don't promote their appearance. To me, that's counterintuitive. So it's just like, that's why before the show, I let people know that I was going to be on your show. That's why I promoted before. That's why I'm going to promote after. So that's what I'm all about. I want everybody to grow. I want everyone to be their best self.
Same here, man.
So it's just like patrickhickeyjr.com/books, lesserknowncomics.com. I'm on LinkedIn too. I mean, like wherever anyone wants to get in contact with me, so I'm totally down. Like, let's talk, let's grow together.
All right, man.
Hey, do you have, you do you have any events that you go into? I know you're in NYC right now. Am I correct, right? I know like New York area, right? Yeah. Or do you have any events you want to promote or anything like that too?
Yeah, so August 14th, Free Comic Book Day, I am going to be at Bulletproof Comics, which is the biggest and baddest comic book store in all of Brooklyn, signing copies of Conjury 0 and Conjury 1. And we're going to have like 3 variant copies too, that we're going to be signing. Me and Kieran Quinn, the artist, who is amazing. We're going to be hanging out there the whole day, signing copies. And there's a couple of other signings that are coming up that we haven't finalized yet. But so August 14th, though, that's the next signing. And we're going to have free copies of the comics. So you just come on down and we'll sign your comics for free. And we just want to build the brand and get to know everybody. So this way in 2022, when we start running full issues and we start charging people, that we got a killer fan base that's ready to like take the ride with us.
Okay. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Down that, man. Y'all heard it, ladies and gentlemen.
Man. Y'all heard it. Patrick Hickey, man. Thank you so much, Hickey, man. Thank you so much for doing this with us, man.
And you the man, Patrick.
Too sweet. Thanks, man. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for your time. I know man. You probably about to.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm about to drive home.
I'm tired.
You got a good little way to drive home, man. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this with us. Hopefully we get to do something like this again, or
Oh yeah. Yeah, so like we're planning once Conjury 3 comes out. So Conjury 2 is coming out in like 2 weeks, and then Conjury 3 is going to be for Halloween. And that's going to be a badass. Like I already wrote the script for like the first 5 Conjuries already, but like Conjury 3 is like so good. It's so good. So like so it'll be like Conjury 0, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to like release a trade paperback, and it's going to have all of it in one. And we're going to do a Kickstarter, and it's gonna be badass. So like when we announce that, I would love to come on again and talk about like the evolution of the series and stuff like that. So
we'll make that happen.
Make that time for you for sure.
So this is the thing too. I know you guys are trying to build your brand, so it's just like I know tons of great comic book artists and writers that are totally looking for places to speak. So it's just like if you want me to like relay some kick-ass artists and writers to you to have on your show, I would be more than happy.
Great,
please.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So and then the same thing too, like
once you see if you like it, please feel free. If you love it, because I'm gonna do my best to edit it best.
Yeah,
I'm being the
so like
I'm gonna get you in there doing that.
Absolutely. The episode with me, I can't post on ReviewFix because that would be like sacrilegious. Like you're gonna post your own interview on your own site, but what we could do is once you guys start doing other episodes and stuff, if you want me to syndicate it on my site, meaning like you just give me like the YouTube embed link,
okay,
and I post it on my site, so this way all the views that I would get on my site go straight to your YouTube, so we could help build your audience.
Thank you.
All you have to do is just message me the YouTube URL, and I'll take care of the rest. So it's just like we have like 3,000 followers on Twitter, like 2,000 followers on Facebook. But like, I mean, I get like 5K viewers a day. So it's just like, whenever you guys post a new episode, I would take the YouTube link and it would basically make like a post saying that you guys have a new podcast, and it would direct them directly to the YouTube. So that would just be like free advertising for you guys. Okay. So if you wanted me to do that, I would be more than happy to do that to help you guys build your audience.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, man. You have a good night, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. Just let me know when the episode is live so I could share the hell out of it. And then just to let you know, if you guys don't make like little clips, you know, what I'm going to do is when you guys post it to YouTube, I'm going to steal it and I'm going to put it on my phone. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip out like perfect example, the conversation we had about our 3 favorite games. That was great. So like I'll take like 9 minutes out of that and I'll post it on IGTV and I'll tag you guys in it. So this way people will be like, you know what I'm saying? So but if it comes out on Wednesday,
that's the goal.
So probably like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So for like a week, I'll post like 7 clips and I will tag you in all of them to help you guys build your audience.
Appreciate you, man.
Okay.
All right, man.
All right. Awesome. All right, guys.
Do the outro, man.
Okay,
come on, do the outro.
We're gonna do the outro. All right, man. Well, this is Chad.
And I'm Jeremy.
And this Fusion High, and we out.
Ha! Yeah!